If you have kids in your life, make plans to bring them to the Northwest Children's Theater production of The Wizard of Oz, opening the weekend after Thanksgiving. With a shortened runtime, this youth edition version of the timeless musical is the perfect way to introduce young theatergoers to the world of Dorothy, the Tin Man, and all your favorite characters. Make magical memories at the theater this season. The Wizard of Oz runs November 29th through January 4th at the Judy in downtown Portland. Get your tickets at nwcts.org. That's nwcts.org. Are you looking for ways to lower your energy bill this winter? Because I know I am. PGE has this customer dashboard that makes it easy to see how you're using energy, and it gives you helpful insight into your daily habits. Just log into your PGE account and use the Home Energy Analysis tool to update your home profile. In minutes, you'll get personalized tips on how to make these energy-saving adjustments. Check it out at portlandgeneral.com/myuse. That's portlandgeneral.com/myuse. When you're getting married, you don't have time to also manage an event team. At Simply Eloped, your dedicated planner takes care of every detail, so you don't have to. They've helped over 14,000 couples say I do across 37 epic U.S. locations with all-inclusive packages and 700 plus incredible vendors. From snowy mountaintops to sandy beaches at sunset, make it your kind of wedding. Start your big day at simplyeloped.com. That's simplyeloped.com. Today on CityCast Portland, we're looking at the 3 finalists for what could be our city's biggest job, the story behind the whale that washed ashore in Yachats, and the sort of good news from our state's economists. Joining me on this week's Friday News Roundup are Oregonian business reporter Mike Rogoway and our very own senior producer Giulia Fiaoni. It's Friday, November 21st. I'm Claudia Meza, and this is what Portland's talking about. Welcome, everyone, to the Friday News Roundup. Mike, Giulia, thank you for joining me this morning.
Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Mike, it's been a little bit.
Yeah, I was trying to think of when I was last on. It's been months.
Yeah.
Well, today is the day we break down some of the biggest local stories of the week with some of the best and brightest journalists in town. But before we jump into the news, I usually ask our guests an opening question so our listeners have an idea of what they're getting themselves into. And today's opening question is related to our 2025 holiday guide, which is live. Now, this is a collection of local gifts, cozy events, and everything that makes winter in Portland magical. So if you want to check that out, visit portland.citycast.fm and click on the holiday guide banner at the top of our homepage. So my opening question to you guys is, what makes winter in Portland like actually magical to you? Because I think it's aside from all the rain, there's a lot going
gray.
on.
I have one here. This one came to mind pretty quickly. Take this with a grain of salt because there's a lot of really sometimes dangerous situations that happen when this comes about. But I'm thinking about when the city ices over, when we have that 1 or 2 storms a year. And the most magical part is when you walk a few blocks down into your neighborhood main street and there's that one bar that's open and everybody's there. It's
Yes.
like the coziest, most comforting environment. And it feels like it doesn't happen any other time of year. There's something really special about it.
Man, my feeling about the ice storms has totally changed because of remote work. Now you can just sort of hole up and enjoy it or walk to your neighborhood bar. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What I like about the winter is the light. You know, we're not in an extreme northern latitude, but it's a little northern. And it just feels different. I ride into work in the mornings, and it just looks different when the sun is in the south. It just feels different.
To me, it feels a little bit more golden. I don't know if I'm making this up, but that's what it just has, like a warmer tint.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Those are great. Giulia, I love yours so much too, because for me, it's snow days.
Yeah.
You know, but the thing is that because of working from home, Mike, snow days have been robbed, have been taken away from me. And also since I started working in news, you know, like there's no rest for the wicked.
Yeah, also true.
A lot of people don't know this, but like journalists, you need to show up. When the earthquake hits, I promise you, Mike, Giulia, and I,
Somewhere with a camera and a mic.
when we're not crapping in a bucket, are going to be somewhere out there reporting. And it's kind of a bummer. But I do still love snow days. And all for the reasons that you said, Giulia. Like, it really disrupts the daily flow, and like it reminds you that you live in a beautiful place because everything looks so gorgeous.
Yeah, gosh, that's exactly it.
Well, thanks for your answers, you guys. Actually looking forward now a little bit more to the winter. Yeah, not that bad. On to the news of the week. Giulia, you're kicking things off. What's going on?
Yeah, so my segment comes from Shane Dixon Kavanaugh at the Oregonian and Jeremiah Hayden from the Portland Mercury. And they're talking about how the city of Portland announced earlier this week 3 finalists in the running to become our new permanent city administrator. So just to catch you up, if you don't remember, this position came out of the 2022 vote for the charter change, which established our current form of government. This gave power to a city administrator to run departments and bureaus, while the number of city councilors tripled and now focuses on policy and constituent services instead. So basically, the city administrator controls day-to-day city operations. That includes our $8.6 billion budget and an over 6,000 person workforce. So it's kind of a big deal. But last year, Mayor Wilson and City Council decided to take on then Chief Administrative Officer for former Mayor Wheeler, Michael Jordan, as interim city administrator through the end of this year. So this was seen as a temporary solution while the mayor and council settled in and looked for someone to fill the role permanently. So fast forward to this week, we now have 3 candidates competing for this spot. And before I get into who they are, I do want to point out that there were more than 100 people who applied from across the country.
Wow.
And that doesn't necessarily mean the mayor interviewed over 100 people. They went through a recruiting firm, Strategic Government Resources, to narrow it down to the 3. And this was informed by some surveys that were conducted back in August, getting an idea of what Portland is looking for this position. And also, the position pays between $284,000 and $393,000 annually. So it is.
Is that like the highest paid position in city government?
I think it's one of. It is quite a big paycheck.
They get paid more than the mayor.
I think you're right. Don't quote me on that, but honestly, that feels right.
No, they do. They do. Yeah.
It's a lot more responsibility than the mayor. The city administrator has power under the new form of government. The mayor's job is to hire the city administrator.
That's a very good point, Mike. So to get into these candidates in no particular order, first we have Maurice Henderson, who most notably was a one-time chief of staff to former Portland Mayor Ted Wheeler. He's also worked in transportation, specifically at TriMet, the Portland Bureau of Transportation, and the U.S. Department of Transportation. Notably, he was the COO of TriMet, but currently he's the vice president of HNTB Corp., which is an architecture and engineering firm. So before I go to the next candidate, I do want to kind of get a sense of your initial thoughts. Like, how are we feeling about the Ted Wheeler connection?
I don't know. It doesn't really bother me either way. I mean, it's not like he was writing policy, you know?
Yeah.
I don't have a read on that. I think Portland in general doesn't look back very fondly on the Wheeler years. On the other hand, Wheeler was a technocrat, and that's what the city administrator's job is. And it could be that somebody coming out of a technocratic administration might be well suited for that.
It's a good observation. I ask because there are already some counselors, specifically Counselor Green, who has stated, I don't want anyone who's tied to old Portland politics, and is really determined to find somebody who is committed to working collaboratively with the mayor and city council, which is obviously the main component of the job. But I think there is maybe just a little bit of hesitation there, knowing that history. Moving on to the next candidate, we have Raymond Lee, who was the longtime city manager of Greeley, Colorado from 2021 until earlier this month, when he left to, quote, explore new opportunities. So for context, Greeley is located an hour north of Denver, and the population size is about 114,000 people. He's also spent years as a deputy city manager and director of public works in Amarillo, Texas. But this one, my first impression is like, Portland's about 7 times larger than that.
Yeah.
How would you handle managing it, right?
Yeah, I gotta tell you, not excited about this pick just on that alone. You know, I'm sure, he's a nice guy, but also, can I say that they said he resigned and that was it? Don't you always have question marks when people resign?
Definitely.
Like, why did they resign? Under what circumstances did they resign? Because sometimes politicians get that same grace that police officers and doctors do. When a city's just like, just freaking leave, dude. We don't want to see you. I'm not saying he has a scandal, but it makes me wonder.
Yeah, I mean, there's always more to that story. I think In Search of New Opportunities is very vague. Yeah.
Yeah, it's what you say when you got fired.
Okay, next candidate. So last we have Valerie Washington, who is an assistant city administrator for Fort Worth, Texas, which she's been doing for more than a decade now. And for context, Fort Worth has more than 1 million people in terms of population. And she's also had senior bureaucratic roles in Indianapolis. So this time, much larger population than Portland, actually. So this one kind of seems like it fits a little better, but it's really hard to say, right? I mean, compared to the other two candidates, how does this one stand out to the two of you?
I think what you say is right. I mean, on paper, a smaller role in a larger city maybe makes more sense, but, there's going to be a lot of vetting going on, I think, and we'll just have to dig into specifically how her term went in Texas and whether or not those skills are the ones Portland's looking for right now.
Yeah, because I'm assuming that, not that this is going to be a personality hire in any way, but this does require a certain personality, especially if they're looking for someone who is highly collaborative.
Yeah.
We are almost like floor level startup when it comes to this form of government. Like we're still sitting on bean bags. You know what I mean? We're still trying to figure out like where the kitchenette's going. Like we're still trying to be sustainable in this new system. So it is a big ask for someone to come through and they're like, can you manage this? By the way, we don't know what we're doing either.
Yeah. And you're not wrong about personality being a bit important in this too. And there's even a quote from Mayor Wilson from recently that says, I want a leader who can build a culture of empathy, enthusiasm, and innovation within our organization and build trust within our community, which is a lot because this person also has to be really good with numbers, right? Like this is really multifaceted and the expectations are high here. But those are the 3 candidates. So the 3 of them met with the mayor and city council this week and also some city and labor union leaders. And after that is settled, Mayor Wilson will make his pick. But of course, city council has to approve it for things to move forward. And then once that's all wrapped up, the new city administrator will be expected to start working in January. So pretty soon.
There's an inherent tension, I think, in the structure of our city government over this. You mentioned collaboration. That's definitely not what the mayor wants. I mean, not this mayor particularly, but the new city government is designed, this is the mayor's conduit to policy. The mayor, whoever the mayor is, this is the opportunity to put a stamp on how the city operates. And the city council, more or less the legislature, wants to maintain its influence. So it really wants somebody who's less autocratic, more collaborative. So it's going to be very interesting to see how the first, full-term permanent city administrator does and navigates that tension.
Yeah. And Giulia, you said the mayor hires, but it has to go through city council, right?
It does need city council approval.
So that's what's interesting, Mike. That they both have to give the thumbs up. I am now concerned, like if Keith Wilson is like, no, this is our guy or gal, and the council's like, no, like what happens then? We have to go to the charter and like, all right, it's a rock, paper, scissors.
Read the fine print.
Yeah. I will say I'm just very disappointed that a random white man named Scottie Pippen didn't apply, because I feel like that would have been the natural succession from Michael Jordan.
Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen.
Just get the whole 90s
Dennis
Chicago
Rodman,
Bulls. Yeah, get them all
Longley.
in here.
Hey, Steve Kerr. Steve Kerr would do a good job at this. That's who they should see.
Get
Bring
him
him
in
in.
here.
What is he doing?
Yeah, what's he got better to do?
But yeah, this is so silly. I'm actually a little not worried, but I am anxious about this because this means so much for our city. So I'm just like, please make the right choice, you guys.
It's a huge
It's a
deal.
very interesting thing. I mean, it is arguably, or maybe inarguably, the most powerful position in Portland city government, and it is not an elected position. So
Yeah. Well, I guess we're going to keep an eye on this. Again, please make the right choice. People who are choosing, please.
If you're listening, please.
Please make the right choice. Well, let's take a quick break here. And when we come back, more headlines of the week. In celebration of the grand opening of the new Mark Rothko Pavilion, the Portland Art Museum is offering free admission from November 20th through the 23rd. There's also live music, DJs, curator tours, art making, and so much more. The new pavilion adds 100,000 square feet of public walkways and gallery space, and this expansion highlights nearly 300 major new acquisitions. That includes works that are rarely or have never before been on view. It's almost like a whole new Portland Art Museum. So go check it out. From November 20th through the 23rd, it's absolutely free. Hopefully, I'll see you there. Paint Care has 3 simple rules to help you paint smarter. 1, buy only what you need. Determining the right amount of paint for your next project can be tricky, but tips like measuring your space and asking your local paint store for advice will help ensure you have enough for your project while minimizing waste. 2, use up what you have. Look around your house and find simple DIY projects where you can use up your paint. Or you could give away your leftover paint to friends, neighbors, or community groups who could benefit from it. 3, recycle the rest at convenient locations like your neighborhood paint store. Paint Care even offers direct pickups for households and businesses with more than 100 gallons of leftover paint. Learn more or find a paint drop-off site near you at paintcare.org/3simplerules. So my headline this week is looking into everything that happened surrounding the beached humpback whale in Yachats, which is a little town on the central Oregon coast, and I relied on reporting from the Oregonian, OPB, and Fox 12. Now, if you missed the news, a juvenile humpback whale between maybe 1 to 3 years old was first reported on the beach over the weekend, sometime Saturday evening. Now, videos from the area went out on social media not too long after, calling for assistance. The proper wildlife rescue teams had been notified, but it was going to take a while for them to reach the whale with the needed equipment, so a more local response of volunteers was forming. People brought wetsuits and shovels and buckets and were working to keep the whale wet by digging trenches, applying wet towels, all the things. Now, the whale washed up ashore entangled in a crab pot rope. So the theory is that it became disoriented trying to free itself and then ended up on shore. What happens when a live whale is stranded is that the very mechanics of what makes them resilient sea mammals becomes their death on land. So they're used to being in very cold water, so their blubber quickly overheats them. Then they become dehydrated. And also their sheer size, without the buoyancy of the ocean, a whale's internal organs are crushed under its own weight.
God.
And this compression also makes it very difficult for them to breathe because whales are mammals. So another hazard is that they can actually drown. So the hazard is that high tide comes, it's half dead already, and then the water covers its blowhole for too long. And I just can't imagine a sadder death.
Oh, God.
It's just, I know. Like once a whale is on shore, there's just a very high probability it's not going to make it because in order for it to have gotten to shore, a lot had to have gone wrong. Let's put it that way. So yes, the clock immediately starts ticking. And what makes it so difficult to get them back into the ocean is that they're freaking huge, you know? So wildlife officials always ask the public to wait for the official crew to come help because there's always a concern that, you know, the shifting tides could roll the whale over on a volunteer, and that's immediate death for anyone. That's 1 to 2 tons on you or more. This was just a baby. But this viral video that went out this weekend, people were coming down to help as far up as Seattle and Vancouver, BC.
Oh.
Which just shows you how concerned people were. Unfortunately, officials had to make the difficult decision to euthanize the whale on Monday afternoon because none of their efforts had proven successful and the whale was suffering. Like they were able to take the rope, you know, out of its mouth and like detangle it, but they just could not get it back to the ocean. And they were just saying, like, even if we get into the ocean, we don't think it's going to make it. So Tuesday, members from the Confederated Tribes of Siletz performed ceremonies, and they, along with wildlife officials, disassembled the whale and gave it a burial on the beach. Some remains were collected by the tribal members for cultural use. I don't know why that whole passing made me feel a little better, like knowing that there were people there to take care of the whale in a way. But before I share even more, like, what are your thoughts? I'm sure you also witnessed this whole beaching in real time.
Yeah, I think because, as you said, whales are mammals, I think we identify with them. They're so large, and it's a place, Yachats, the coast, many of us identify with. And it's just sad to see something happen there.
I think I didn't realize just how much effort it takes to resolve a situation like that, because I was seeing posts about like volunteers gathering, and I was like, is this really a situation where folks have to get together immediately and try to intervene? Like, I would imagine that there's resources for this, or that it maybe wouldn't be as complicated. But the way you just broke it down, Claudia, it's like, oh yeah, like the clock's ticking, and it takes folks with a lot of empathy and interest and care for animals like that to really step up. And it's sad to see that even in that case, there wasn't really anything that could be done.
Yeah, and most volunteers know that they're not going to be able to send the whale back. They're literally just trying to keep it comfortable.
I know, yeah.
Which is also really sweet and also sad. What I found, just maybe not sad, but distasteful, is that all this happened just a few weeks after our exploding whale day. It's a weird, cherished holiday, but it's not because a whale exploded. It's because humans are stupid. More specifically, men. We think it's funny. Like, oh my God, these dudes thought, hey, we're going to blow up a whale with 1 ton of... 1 ton of dynamite, and that's chill, and that's going to work out for everyone.
And this will be the new standard.
Yeah, and they were just like, we're so smart. But like, it bummed me out because like, we just went from this like kind of jovial mood of like, exploding whale day to it's like, this is the reality. A whale died.
Yeah.
And of course, with exploding whale day, the whale in Florence washed up ashore already dead, because it's actually really rare that a live whale washes up on shore. But I just wanted to point out quickly that humpback whale entanglements have surged on the West Coast. And these entanglements occur when a human-made material, such as like a fishing line or rope or whatever, just gear or debris, becomes attached or wrapped around a whale's body or ingested. And that is what makes them disoriented, because they're like trying to take it off. Like,
yeah.
So they're spinning.
No thumbs.
They're trying to do the best they can, and they end up on shore. So that crab pot that entangled the whale in Yachats was from gear left over from the 2023-2024 commercial Dungeness crab season.
Oh, man.
So that's kind of a bummer, But what's really interesting is that NOAA is saying that the rise in entanglements isn't just gear related. They're pointing to recovering whale populations, climate-driven shifts in prey, like the krill and all that, that's pushing feeding humpbacks closer to the shore. And so you couple that with a delayed or extended fixed gear seasons of the crabbing or any kind of fishing because of climate change. And then you have like this perfect storm.
Yeah.
So we're witnessing this, and I'm hoping that now that they're like, yeah, this is what's happening, that things change because this is our new normal.
Oh, yeah. I wonder if this doesn't already exist. This sounds like a situation where there can be some sort of like a responsibility tax placed on people who are fishing in that way to account for these resources that are used when this happens. Like, it feels like that is an appropriate measure, especially given how much they suffer, right?
Yeah, I see there are a number of efforts underway to address it. And I mean, part of that, I think you mentioned, Claudia, the increase in entanglements. It went from, I just saw the number. I think it was like 64 over 2008 to 2013. And then in recent years, the next 5 years, rather, it was 163.
Oh, my God.
So it doubled, nearly tripled. And I think one factor in this is that people are more aware of it because there's more people on the water and more people with phones to report it. Mm-hmm. So the increase may overstate the actual increase, the increase in reports, but it may also bring awareness to it. This is something that we need to address and need to find new ways to ensure it doesn't happen.
Yeah, just a simple act of like, pick up your gear, dudes.
Yeah, seriously.
Pick it up. You're done. Oh, all right. Well, it was just sad. And I know a lot of people are really sad about it. And I wanted to, this was my way of processing it. I'm like, I just want to talk about it, you guys.
It helped me. Thank you. Thank you for processing with us.
Of course. Well, let's take a quick break here. And when we come back, more headlines of the week.
This episode is sponsored by Doer. I'm David Plotz, the CEO of CityCast. I'm lounging in my performance denim slim straight jeans from Doer. They're incredibly comfortable, 5 times stretchier than traditional denim. But what's even better is that they feel stretchy without looking stretchy. You can take them anywhere and just look good. I wear them to travel, out for dinner, now just hanging around my house since they're so delightful to stretch out in. Doer are pioneers of blending technical innovation with everyday clothing. They invented the original performance denim, so it's not surprising that Doer has made jeans that are the best of both worlds. Classic jeanswear style with the kind of comfort and performance you get from athletic wear. And they're also the right color, not excessively deep blue, not that middle school jean light blue, but a lovely indigo. My girlfriend called them the perfect color, in fact. Simply put, Doer makes the world's most comfortable pants without having to sacrifice style. Trust me, once you try these, they'll be your go-to. And you can check out Doer in our store right here in Portland. It's at 820 Northwest 23rd Ave. Pick up a pair for yourself or as an amazing holiday gift. Mention our promo code CCPDX in store to get 15% off your first order. Or check them out online at shopduer.com/CCPDX for 15% off. That's shopdoer.com/CCPDX.
This episode is brought to you by Mubi, where you can stream beautiful, hand-picked cinema anytime, anywhere. And right now, you can stream all the episodes of Hal and Harper, created by and starring Cooper Rife, alongside Lily Reinhart and Mark Ruffalo. It's a funny, heartfelt, and sometimes heartbreaking look at the bond between siblings and how growing up together can shape who we become. Critics are calling it profoundly relatable and pitch perfect. They're saying it's your next must-watch. And you can watch all of Hal and Harper and so much more exclusively on Mubi. Try it for free for 30 days on us. Just head over to Mubi.com/CityCast25. That's MUBI.com/CityCast25.
Guess what? CityCast has some news. I'm Sean McPherson, the host of CityCast Twin Cities.
And I'm Jane Sihu, and I'm the host of CityCast Seattle. Hey, if you have a friend in one of our cities, can you text them for us?
Yeah, something, simple like, hey, how's that rash doing? And do you listen to podcasts? Because I have one you're definitely going to like. After that, tell them that CityCast has helped you become more informed, more involved, and more connected to your amazing city.
We're going to help that person you know in Seattle who's been trying to make friends.
And we're also going to do that for that guy you only kind of knew in college who moved back to the Twin Cities after graduation.
Don't we all have that guy?
Yeah, and usually that guy is named Todd.
So did you text them yet?
Jane, let's just wait a minute. We don't want to rush anybody. We'll do a little small talk. How's everything going in Seattle?
Beautiful, beautiful. Fall leaves popping. How about Twin Cities?
Today, beautiful and sunshiny in St. Paul. Okay, Jane, I bet they are done texting by now, and I just want to remind them, hey, you, please tell that friend to subscribe to CityCast Twin Cities or Seattle, wherever you get your podcasts.
Or if you don't want to text them and you're really just on Instagram sending them DMs all the time with like funny videos, send them a DM of our latest videos. You can find us at CityCast Twin Cities or CityCast Seattle on Instagram. Thanks.
All right, we're back. Mike, tell us some good news, please.
All right. Well, so, Oregon's budget process is fairly complex. We do a 2-year budget. The legislature updates it, at successive points during the year based on the revenues that are actually coming in. They do a forecast of how much is going to come in. As everyone in Oregon knows, when the forecast of what comes in is lower than what actually comes in, the difference is kicked back to the taxpayers. We have a $1.4 billion kicker coming. But the issue that we've been facing right now is everyone in Oregon knew that the economy was slowing. And so the state revenue forecasters, the state economists projected that slower economy, not as much growth in revenue in the years coming up in tax revenue because things are slowing down. What folks didn't account for was the effect of the congressional tax cuts that were passed this past spring on Oregon's budget. Oregon's taxes are connected to the federal tax code. And so when something changes in the federal tax code, something happens here too. So federal tax cuts means less revenue for the federal government. It also means less revenue for the state. And so we were facing a $370 million gap as a result of those federal changes. Well, the good news is that that gap has gotten a lot smaller. The state economists met this past week and told the lawmakers that it's now going to be about $63 million. And most of the reason for that is because there's been a big boost in corporate tax receipts. Large companies are doing well. They're paying more taxes than anticipated. Smaller reason, but part of it is that personal income taxes, which is where most of the state's general fund revenue comes from, those were higher than expected too. And so, that closes the gap. It puts less pressure on the legislature to make cuts. It moves us sort of from a crisis situation to a, modest adjustment one. But it also tells us a lot about the economy and the state budget. We feel the economy is slowing, and it is. But we're not in a recession. The state economists pointed out that they rate the odds of a recession at being around 25%, which seems unlikely. They say in any given year, the odds of a recession are around 10%. So it's still, more likely than in most years, but more likely than not, it won't happen. The national labor market's doing a little better than people expected. The effects of the tariffs, the trade war is more moderate than people expected, in part because a lot of the tariffs are getting rolled back. But it also tells us, I think, something about the state of our economy. People talk about this K-shaped economy or K-shaped recovery from the pandemic recession. And what that means is there's two lines coming out. You have a decline, and they have two lines coming out from it. One part of the economy is going up, and one part of the economy is going down. And the part of the economy that's going up right now are corporate profits, and to a lesser extent, the profits of high earners. The stock market has been doing very well this year. We have this big tech boom, this AI boom. But for working class people, you have the unemployment rate going up. You have wages not quite keeping up with inflation or running about on par with inflation. So folks are treading water or falling behind. From a state revenue perspective, we get a lot of tax revenue from the upper income. So when wealthy people are doing well, the state's coffers do okay. But everyday people, it's just a little more stressful.
Yeah. What I want to know is what the conditions are in our state's economy that make state economists as reliable in predicting our economy as someone with a magic 8-ball. Because
you may know.
Seriously, every year they're always like, "Oh, I didn't know,"
And the kicker too.
and these are brilliant people. Like, these aren't dummies, So I'm imagining that they're just like, their world is constantly shifting. Like, I don't can you just explain what is happening?
Mechanically, how they do it is they have a model that they've built, and then they subscribe to economic forecasts from national forecasters. They add their own input, and they have a panel of experts from around the state, industry people that they consult with to come up with their number for the forecast. A lot of the model, comes out of these national forecasts. Generally speaking, Oregon's economy is highly correlated with the national economy. So if you can successfully guess what the national economy is doing, you're going to successfully guess to a degree what Oregon's economy is doing. The problem we've had in Oregon is that the guesses really weren't very good for like a decade. And we've actually changed state economists in the last year and a half. I forget when it happened. The problem wasn't that the state economists were guessing wrong about the economy. The problem was that the kicker kind of distorted the revenue picture for the state. And the state was generating more tax revenue each year than anticipated. And so we were constantly guessing low on the amount of revenue that was coming in. And so we kept having larger and larger kickers. The new economists have built a new model that they think will account for that. But our guesses haven't been very good as a state for a long period of time. And from a taxpayer perspective, hey, big kicker each year. That seems all right.
Yeah.
But if you're the state legislature and your job
budgets,
you're trying to
It's a
spend money,
nightmare.
it's kind of frustrating because you're leaving money on the table that is instead going back to taxpayers. So the goal is that they're trying to do better with that.
Just thinking more about what you said, Mike, about the K-shaped economy, I think the point of anxiety I have is if you have like wealthier people becoming wealthier and corporations thriving while the average person is going through hard times. And then in the middle of that, you have a federal administration trying to intervene with state welfare benefits. Ultimately, if I'm understanding this correctly, all the money made from those high earners aren't going to support the folks that are suffering the most in worst case scenario. Is that like a valid concern? Because that's what's going through my head.
Yeah, well, it's definitely true that what we've done federally is we've cut taxes on corporations and, many other Americans, including working class people, eliminating taxes on overtime and tips and things like that. And not eliminating taxes on overtime, but changing how they're calculated. But we have eliminated taxes on tips. Those are things that could potentially benefit the working class. But at the same time, if you're cutting benefits for people who, for instance, SNAP benefits, as we all learned this past month when they were cut off for a period of time, something like 1 in 8 Oregonians gets, food stamps, essentially. This is a part of people's daily budget. It's people who are working and are making a decent wage, just not enough to cover everything that we all know is hard to cover. That's a large part of the population. So when that gets cut, it's felt pretty acutely.
Yeah.
Well, Mike, thanks for explaining that to us. This is why you're here. It's always much appreciated because it's usually 3 ding-dongs on the show trying to make sense of it. But before we head out, we actually have some shout-outs from members of our Portland Neighbors program. One of the perks of being a paying member of CityCast Portland is that you get this opportunity to shout out a local business or organization that you love. Giulia, you want to kick us off?
Yes, I have one here from Dave P. And they said, I'd like to shout out Portland Neighbors Welcome, a nonprofit that believes housing is a human right and is dedicated to ensuring there is a home for current and future Portlanders of all ages, wages, and life stages. And they are looking for new members. You can find them at portlandneighborswelcome.org.
Cool. Well, Mary W. wants to shout out Rose City Reads. That's the East Side outpost of Friends of the Multnomah County Library. At the time she submitted, they were having like a $1 kids book sale, but that event passed. That was her shout out. And apologies, we did not get it in time. So I looked up to see what else they had on the horizon. And November 29th, they're having an educators discount day at Rose City Reads and the Friends Library store. So that's 30% off total purchase if you bring proof of your educator status. And this actually happens on the last Saturday of every month, which is pretty cool.
That's so cool. I have another one here from Tommy T. They're shouting out Permanent Rhinestone PDX, which has opened on Clinton. It's a pop-up that apparently is amazing, and I looked into it at their brick and mortar now. They have like their take on a Crunchwrap Supreme. They're serving like fast casual Southwest food. I am like very, very excited to try this spot.
They also have like a Baja Blast themed cocktail. Like they're going Taco Bell. They're going Taco Bell. For sure. Well, Will H wants to shout out Die Hard the Musical and Domprov. I hope I'm saying that right, Domprov, at the Funhouse Lounge, and says that they're the funniest people in Portland. Never seen a bad show there. To that, I add, good luck getting tickets, because I swear I've been trying to go to Die Hard the Musical for like 5 years, and they're always sold out.
Must be really good.
Like in November, they're sold out. I'm like, when do I buy these tickets?
Yeah.
So anyhow, a shout out to Dave, Mary, Tommy, and Will, and a huge thanks to our newest member, Martha C. When you join as a Portland neighbor, we'd also be happy to read your shout out of places that you love in Portland, alongside a bunch of other perks like ad-free listening and invites to member-only events. So join at membership.citycast.fm. You guys, thank you so much for hanging out with me this morning. Thank you everyone for listening, and I hope that you have a wonderful weekend.
Thanks, Claudia.
Thank you.
That's all for today here on CityCast Portland. Thank you everyone for listening. Our podcast production team this week was John Notarianni, Giulia Fiaoni, Laura Satsui, Zoe Colkin, and myself. Our Hey Portland newsletter editors were Rachel Monahan and McKenna Harford. Our host is me, Claudia Meza. Original music by Jenny Conley and Stephen Drizos. Additional music by All the Kimonos, as well as Sarah the Instrumentalist, Timothy Infinite, and Gregory David, courtesy of Epidemic Sound, alongside Opal 99 and D-May, courtesy of Triple Scoop Music. We'll be back Monday morning with more from around the city. Until then, see you at Slim's.